Okay, this week I'm going to talk about using Illustrator to do a portrait. On the class website, you'll see there's some links to some sample pieces. These are ones from 2008, and you'll see what I want you to do is make more of an illustration. In this case, this is if you look at this drawing right here, you'll see it is a portrait, and it looks like it's been done in like Illustrator or some kind of illustration. It's not like a super realistic looking photograph. And if you really wanted to get more of a photograph, I might as well just take a photograph. So one of the nice things about using Illustrator, it has a certain style. What I really like about this one, of course, is the background where the artist drew this, and then he drew the background. And then also this one was nice because he had this sort of pattern that goes around the outside and that framed it in. And so this was a really nice example. This one was a really nice example. What the student did was she drew the portrait of the person, and then this is actually not the same background that this person was in, and this background is of kind of this beach scene that they kind of just live trace, which I try not to use live trace for this. I mean, it really looks live traced, but she drew the face here and then put it so your portrait doesn't have to have the same background of where the portrait is of of what you're doing. Just like in Photoshop, you can superimpose and do multiple objects. I like the pattern, and everything about this one was really nice. This one, the student was really striving to do more realistic. You'll notice that a lot of the soft kind of blends of the face here are actually done by making a shape and then blurring it and then using the blending mode or something like that. And the reflections in the glasses are very nice. Glasses are actually hard to do, and I think the student did really well trying to get a more kind of realistic looking portrait. Ears are always tough to do. And I'll talk about doing ears, but they're very, very, very hard. This is a nice sort of different kind of sample with a kind of a long eyelashes and that kind of brush stroke kind of look in the artwork. And then this one was quite nice. It's more of just a black and white kind of outline drawing, which is totally fine. But the way that he put it together with the Edgar Allan Poe here and how he drew the birds and things in the background was really quite nice piece. This one is. And then, of course, this one was quite amazing. A student from 2008. Beautiful hair lines going. Very nice eyes. And this is, again, a more cartoon kind of looking. So she did a self-portrait of herself, but sort of made it more, I don't know, avatar, cartoonish, like with the elongated eyes and the small nose and little mouth. This is really beautiful one, pretty big. And then a nice pattern in here, and again the background where the person is at, and this nice flowers, kind of all the colors and the shapes and the lines. This is probably one of my favorite ones. Let's see, is there another page to this? Oh, there's one more here. And as you can see, this is more of a flat, very flat kind of drawing. Don't think that you have to fill everything in. As you can see, the nice hair here is just quite simple shape for the hair, and then add a couple highlights, and it works well. And same with the eyes and the nose, very simple. The other thing to keep in mind is, people, a portrait on an angle like this is a lot easier to do than on the straight. If we look back at the this one, very difficult to there's a lot of, so people on angles are a little bit different. The nose is a little bit easier to do when the person's on an angle. This one's kind of difficult too with the low angle, but. So those are ones from 2008, and then I also have a whole sample from 2009. I just haven't made any of recent ones, so that's why there's 2008, 2009. Again, this is a very nice. I really like the background here, doing the hand. Simple. If you look at the hands, I remember when I was asking the student how they kind of did the arms and stuff, and it's basically one big shape. And then she did just a plain gradient. This is all it is one color gradient from here to all the way over to here. So very simple gradients here, and there's a little gradient mesh in here. Very nice. And then she didn't know what kind of background to make, and so she added kind of these sort of children kind of shapes with the clouds. And then look, there's even a symbol clip art right there. But this was a really, really, really nice portrait. I like that one. This one looks a little bit more like live trace. I kind of don't like the the big shapes kind of blurring and things like that. So trying to avoid that live trace. This one was quite nice, and think of composition. Notice how the head is kind of even cut off here, and so the composition here is really tight. Again, glasses. Most people try to avoid things like glasses and stuff. And straight on, this one actually turned out pretty well for a straight on shot. And looking at the viewer here with that little rabbit and stuff, very nice portrait there. Again, if you start getting into a lot of gradients, the student here was trying to do a lot of gradient meshes and blending it together. Sometimes it gets really kind of messy very quickly. So I'd try and recommend doing more simple ones. The Elvis one here was quite nice. Again, a nice simple background. I like that kind of reddish to green background with the guitar kind of pattern in the background there. This was a very nice portrait. You can see you have a shape here in the top that's kind of a shape, and then it's probably blurred and then blended. So a lot of, how you can put shapes over top is almost like when we were doing the fruit. If you want that kind of look, that you get a shape. But she's using a combination of hard shapes as well as soft shapes here. And this one was okay. I kind of don't want you to do more a whole body kind of thing if you can avoid that. I'm looking more of at a portrait kind of look. This one was quite nice. I like the hat, and what I really liked about this one was just the simple lines. There's just 3 rectangles, 1, 2, 3, 4 rectangles in the back here, just behind him, and just gave it a nice look to it. Kind of went with the beard that he had here. This one was it was quite difficult to print. I remember we had a lot of problems because she had so many different kind of blending effects in this hair. It's kind of crazy hair that she put in there, but the really nice kind of realistic looking eyes and kind of soft nose and mouth. This one turned out quite nice as far as realism wise. Hair with a bunch of texture in it doesn't work really well all the time. Simple things work a little bit better. This was nice hair in this one, very simple shapes. Okay, this portrait looks more like a live trace kind of inside here, but the hair was quite nice, so I don't know how that one kind of worked all the way to the end there. And then we have a couple more here. This one was okay. I think the eyes could have been done a little bit better. Here's another one with sunglasses. Quite nice composition. I kind of like that the balance of this one. And then this one where people are actually doing something, so that might be quite a nice one right there too. Again, very simple shapes. The background is quite goes with the shape of the object, and it could be just a plain gradient background. You see, this one's almost a plain, very plain background, very plain background, very plain gray background there. And then this one looks a little bit more like a live trace, but I don't think it was. I think the downfall of this one was the hair is very complicated, very complicated. So, there's some samples from previous classes on the website. There's some other ones I linked to that you can see. There's some nice ones online that I found at DeviantArt. And then this one was a quite nice one that I found online, just very simple, even though it is a kind of a more of not necessarily a portrait. And then one technique is from the link here that I have is a really good one where they take a portrait, okay, and then they use the pencil tool and go around with the blacks. The most important thing to this technique is going and double clicking on the pencil tool and getting to the preferences and changing the fidelity to these options. And then you'll see what they do is they go around all the dark areas, making simple shapes all the way around to where all the dark areas is, and then using either the pen or even the pencil tool and going around and adding more colors. And so this is a very popular technique that students have done in this class. It takes a lot of time, so you got a couple weeks to finish this, so take your time. Let's go over this technique first. So one of the things that you want to do in getting started with this this portrait assignment would be to find a picture. So go through and look at a lot of the pictures that you have. Try and find one that has a nice composition. You can always sort of, don't have to do the whole picture. You can always do just a portion of a picture, so you don't have to do everything in a picture. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a new file inside of Illustrator here. And again, we were using custom. This time I'm going to use print because I want to use CMYK because I'm going to print this out. And right now I'm just going to use the standard portrait mode. I can always go and change it later under the artboard option. Okay, so once I get started, I'm going to look at some of the pictures I have. I have 3 portraits that I've actually started here that I'm going to talk about. Oh, I clicked on the wrong one. So in this case, if I go to my Illustrator files here, if I can find my portrait, I have a couple pictures. Can't remember which one, and they don't show me a thumbnail, do they? Okay, let's see which this one is. Okay, as you can see, it's my son. Nice kind of beach scene in the background here. And if I zoom out, you see, yep, that'd be a good picture for a portrait. He's nice and big in the picture, and it fits within the frame here. Nice 8.5 by 11 kind of picture here. Nice thing about it is it's kind of a slight angle, so it'd be easier to get that kind of nose definition. There's a lot of contrast in the light and shadows. What I'm going for is not necessarily realism. Again, is more of a illustration type drawing. So this one might work well. Let me try another one. Let me try the third one here. This is the one I usually do in class when I teach this class in person. This is a portrait of my niece, and this one always works well. I don't know, this is kind of dark right now, but again, she has some hands there, and a lot of people try to avoid the hands when they're trying to do this kind of lesson. Then she has a scarf that's around her neck, and it has a little texture to it, so that's a little bit of a challenge right there. But she has nice dark hair and flowing, and it's kind of on an angle, so that might be a good one to try also. And then let's see, what's my second one here? Oh, this one I put in there because he's actually doing something in this case. He has this crazy gun in his hand or something like that. So you know, a portrait of somebody actually doing something is a good example. Again, if it doesn't fit within the window, don't worry about it. Remember, we're going to do this in vector and scale it all down and things like that. So boy, this might be the one that I might choose. So let's try this one. Let me pause this movie, and we'll start again, and I'm going to use the technique from the website.